Hi everyone, welcome back to Katarina's Garage. My name is Katarina Lloyd, and today, well, I am here at Ipullupull here in Edmonton, and we're going to check out some of the cars. We got a lot of vehicles actually for sale that you can just buy outright. But what's cool about this yard though is that if you see anything in the yard you want to buy that's like even on like in the lanes, you can actually inquire about it inside. I did not know this until about a year ago. But anyways, let's go check out some of the vehicles, and you can probably already see some of them in the background, but starts out with a 79 Lincoln Continental. These are a super luxury vehicle. They're body on frame. They all have 9 inches out back, usually with like a 223 rear gear though, to try and get some semblance of fuel economy with the big blocks that they had. Or this one being a 79 should have the 400 cubic inch motor rather than the 460, because the 460 stopped being in passenger cars after 1978. 78 was the final year for the 460 to be put into a passenger car. But these are really, really cool. And the town car was not necessarily always a sedan, but 95% of the time it is. It's kind of unusual to see one with the opera window though, because that was usually reserved for the Mark series, which was the like flagship ones as well. And to be honest, like the town cars have more squared off lines as opposed to the the Mark series. But overall, very, very cool. Here we have an 81 Oldsmobile Tornado, which this one, it's actually a V8. Okay, so this would be probably with 305, most likely, maybe a 350. Every single Tornado ever made is front-wheel drive. Now, the Oldsmobile Tornado started out in 1966 being built, and honestly they're one of my favorite cars of that era. I'd love to own one, and like I said, they're front wheel drive, so they got a transaxle with the turbo 425 in them. But this being the later one, like this would have either 305 or 350 most likely in it. Might even be an Oldsmobile engine, but it's probably a Chevy motor in it. And yeah, very comfortable, very cool, and overall it's just a sweet little car. Let's see. We do have a Ford Mustang over here. This is a New Edge, 3.8 liter V6 under the hood. You know what? I do actually like these. This is my favorite of the newer sort of body styles of these Mustangs, like what I consider the modern. So this is a New Edge, which is technically an SN95. The SN95 was built from 1994 until 2004. However, some people will say, well, the SN95 was from 94 to 98 because it's a different body style than this, while this New Edge was 99 to 04. And these are very comfortable, very awesome vehicles, and the underpinnings of these is a modified Fox body platform. So if you've ever driven a Fox body, you'll know pretty much exactly how these feel. But they just have a little more stability, I find, at speed comparatively to a Fox body. So yeah, this one's up for sale for $2,500. Alright, so I've been searching for a little bit, and finally I found something really, really, really cool. This, I want to say, is a Corolla, I think. Really rusty though. Yeah, it is a Corolla. There you go. So this is like a early 70s Corolla is my guess. It's just too bad of how rotten it is. It's a 74, it says. So that's really damn cool. You can see the Bondo kind of. Yeah, that's kind of bad. But this is such a shame that it's in here. But I get why. It's not as rusty as I thought. How are the floors in this thing? I can't really see them, but. And it is a manual as well, so that's probably a 5-speed. Might be a 4-speed, but these would have likely the 12 or 1300cc engine, similar to the Toyota Celica or Toyota Celica if you're from the States. It's a non-crossflow engine, so this would probably be the 1200 instead of the big 1600s that the Celica GTS had. But yeah, this thing is just so damn cool. It's such a shame that it's in here, but I get why it's in here though. It's pretty rusty, but there's so many good parts on it. Like, God, I just want to strip this thing right now. Just entirely. Just take that grill as an example. Like, God, that's such a gorgeous piece. But I don't need to spend money in here. I don't need to. I don't need that part, but I want it, you know? It's one of these things. And, yeah, no. I'd love to have something like this someday. But who knows? Might be in the cards someday. Alright, as we go along here, we find a 1981 Datsun 280ZX. This is damn cool. Now, somebody took the valve cover off of it. You know, you can see the timing chain and overhead cam and everything that these have. This one was for sale at one point, because you can tell they were asking, you know, $1,449 for it. But unfortunately, you know, they can't sell every single one, and eventually they just come back into the yard here if they don't get sold. Which is sad. And is it a manual as well? It is too. That's a stick shift. That's so sad. T-top car. Like, these were a really nice car in their day. And the Datsun Z series was actually started in 1968. Didn't come over here though until 1970 with the Datsun 240Z. And then over in Japan, they were called the Fair Lady Z or Z, depending on where you're from, right? And man, this thing is just so wicked. And sad that it's in here, but I get why. It's pretty crusty, whatever else. Oh well. You know, and this one being an 81, this is one of the last years of this sort of body style of like, because the 240s look similar to this, albeit this is just a much bigger car. Like the front end's much longer, the roofline looks a little different, whatever else, and it had bigger bumpers on it, stuff like that. So, yeah, it just, pretty sad to see that in here. But then something else that's right here. Now, I always say, if somebody is looking for a first car, but they want something a little sporty that has good aftermarket support, and you can actually do a decent amount to, get one of these Celicas. Now, this one happens to be a GTS, which was the top of the line one. This would have had, I believe, a 6-speed manual, dual overhead cam, 2ZZ motor, pushing out, I think it was like 160 to 180 horsepower, something like that. You know, you can tell just like, look at how those seats would just hug you, right? And yeah, this thing has just been stripped. But, because yeah, that motor is long gone out of here. So, not surprising though, because again, those 2ZZs, people love to grab those, especially for like their MR2 projects, like first gen AW11s. People love to throw those motors into it. So, yeah, really cool cars though, and very reliable overall. And, you know, it harkens back to like this. These were only front wheel drive though, which kind of sucks. Because earlier Celicas than this could be all-wheel drive, or also even rear-wheel drive too. But, you know, it is what it is. So, sad to see it in here. But, not everything can be saved. Alright, so here's something else, you know, here in the junkyard. This is a Pontiac GTP. You can see that old Eaton M90 supercharger. And it actually, the Eaton M90 seems to be in okay shape. So this is the, not the last generation of the GTP, but close to it. This one being a two-door is really neat. These are quite the little performance vehicle. You know, they had about 240 horsepower to that 3.8 supercharged engine, but the transmissions, though, were the weak point in these, and that's probably what went wrong with this one. It's quite unfortunate, but, you know, it is what it is, right? And these are, like, super comfortable going down the road. They typically have all the options in the world in them. And, yeah, no. And this one definitely looks like it does. You know, sunroof and, you know, all the different controls and stuff. Power windows, power locks. This one's a 99. And the two-doors are kind of difficult to find because most of these were four-doors. So that's kind of interesting. And now, something I didn't realize that's right beside it. This is a Chevy Lumina APV, which is their van that they made. Now, why did they make this van? I honestly do not know. But a lot of these, you know, had the nickname of like Dustbuster and stuff like that, because look at it. It kind of looks like an old school Dustbuster, right? Pontiac had their own version of this as well, and Oldsmobile did too. So seeing one of these though, they're kind of a rare, obscure thing nowadays. But they used to be everywhere back in the day. And it's got one of the nicest steering wheels they ever put on these. I like those. wheels. But, yeah, no. Just kind of an interesting little find. All right, so we have what I believe is a first-gen Cavalier, but it's a certain version, because I remember these having like a big open grill here, you know, with like an egg crate grill up here more, as opposed to this. So this is like, is this an old Celebrity maybe? What does it say? It does say Cavalier 82, so there you go. Automatic, and this thing's pretty roached out, but like, look at the gauges and stuff like that. It's just kind of cool, you know? But very sad. However, these were not a good car. They were just kind of like a cheap throwaway car by GM. And now the Cavalier did get good much later, but not during this generation. You had to get to the 90s Cavaliers for them to be any decent. But pretty cool car. And, you know, something you never see ever. And that's what I try and do, is showcase those like underappreciated weird cars on this channel. So there you go. So we saw that Cavalier down there. I believe the Skylarks of this generation are the Cavalier from Buick. It looks very similar, just a little more uprated, but I could be wrong. This might be on the Celebrity as well. Like, this is an 81. And yeah, like I said, not very good vehicles overall. Kind of unusual to see. Wonder what happened here. This is interesting. I was seeing somebody just had a loader to try and open up the trunk to see what was inside. But kind of a shame. But realistically, this will sit in here, and probably not many people are going to take parts off of this. Sneaking suspicion. And the reason being is just like, they're not a very popular vehicle. Nobody typically cares about these. And it's kind of sad, because they are kind of neat. But, you know, it is what it is. Now, let's move on to, actually, look at that. Another Cavalier, but this is the later Cavalier. It's a Cavalier Wagon, which is so damn cool to see a wagon, right? This one's a 94, so it's one of the final years of this body style. And they have a lot of, you know, stickers in the back. These had likely a 3.1 V6 in them. They could also have a 2.2 engine. This one is the 3.1 multi-port FI, so pretty neat. And this will actually go half decent for what it is. Like, just a little bit nippy, right? Yeah, I like it. Now let's go see Classiclandia, which these look to be just about all the same from the last time I was here, which was about a month and a half ago. Yeah, because this is a old AMC Ambassador sitting here, if I remember correctly. You know, from the last time I was here. Gorgeous, gorgeous cars. Let's see, am I right? Yeah, 67 Ambassador. There you go. You know, and it's just pretty neat. I like the radio selection up there, you know, how it's kind of vertical rather than horizontal. It's pretty damn neat. And this was AMC's kind of like mid-size offering or whatever else. And yeah, there's that lot of Neva over there still. So I remember filming that as well when I was back here. So yeah, all these are pretty much all the same by the looks of it. Maybe I'll try and find something new in here, but you never know. You might see something in here that you might like. But if you do, just go back to my other video that I did about a month ago, give or take. It's under my playlist for my junkyard tours, because every single junkyard tour I've done is in there. So yeah, very cool. So it's a sweet collection of vehicles here. But like I mentioned, they're all the same. There's a couple of Camaros there though too. But just gonna see in here. Actually, was this Cutlass here? I don't remember if the Cutlass was here or not. Or actually, this is not a Cutlass. It's a Delta 88. Yes, this was here as well. So okay, so obviously, you know, they haven't rotated these out yet, which is a good thing, because just in case other people need parts, they try and leave these in for as long as possible. But yeah, like, you know, old Biscayne or Impala here. You know, got this old Ford as well, like Galaxy, I believe, maybe a Fairlane. You know, it's really cool. For Fairlane, there you go, 68. So yeah, I was hoping to maybe find a Fox body in here, but so far, no dice. But they usually don't put the Fox bodies in this area. They'll put them elsewhere. I think Ford is down that way, if I'm not mistaken. So we'll see. But it's just out of Candyland out here, right? And I love touring junkyards like this. Yeah, so this is not one but two Catfish Camaros here. You know, and this generation of Camaro existed from, what was that, 93 or 94? Right up until 2002. However, they did do a facelift, and they were no longer called the Catfish anymore. Well, these earlier ones look more like a Catfish. But I still see both of them as looking like a Catfish, so, whatever. You know, but these both are early enough to where they both have the 4-eye headlights like that one does, right? But very cool, and this was the competition of the Mustang. The Firebird was built on this platform as well. Which this platform is actually the F-body platform, which is interesting because the F-body platform existed from 1967 right up until the Camaro died, so in 2002. So it is a long-standing platform. These are kind of a pain to work on, though, because as an example, okay, if you want to get to your fuel tank, which would have been right here, you have to drop the entire axle out like this and all the rear suspension. Which is kind of dumb, isn't it? But these could have a 3.1 V6, a 350, a 305, or a 3.8 V6. This one being a Z28 would have had the 350 in it, and being this early, I think this would have had an LT1 as opposed to the LS. I think the LS came out in 95. This one being, actually, is this a 95 or is this a 94? This is a 95, so maybe this was an LS. But regardless, two really cool T-top Camaros in the junkyard. Now it's kind of sad when you see all the cars lined up like this, not on blocks and very close together. That means every single one of these is going to be crushed right away here, which is unfortunate. But admittedly, a lot of these are just going to be completely, you know, just been in a lot for a while, and they haven't sold as many parts as they wanted to, so just get rid of it, right? They have a certain time limit for certain vehicles to be in their lot for. And that would be a Sunfire GT. It was like one of the nicer ones too, with a 3.1 V6 in them and stuff like that, and they were decently nippy. But yeah, these ones are going to be crushed soon. Now, maybe this was or maybe this wasn't here, but regardless, I'm still going to do a little bit on it. So this is a 74 Ford F-250. This whole like body style and front end was made from what was that? 70, actually I think it was 74, 73 or 74 until 1977, which I'm actually looking at getting a 77 with, is it the same? Yep, it's the same specs as this one. So it's got a 306, just like this one does. It has a 4-speed manual, just like this one does, which I believe that's the NP 435 in these. So it's actually kind of a strong transmission overall. And yeah, it's the one I want though has been painted with a rattle can, but my buddy owns it. I've driven it once before. It was like a year ago. I know he's never gonna do anything with it, so I've been kind of probing him, seeing if I can buy it. But it needs a carburetor too, so I was hoping this one might have a carb, because then I can maybe grab it, but nope, it does not. These would have used the Carter YFA 1-barrel carbs. Kind of a... And they all used that right up until they went to the fuel injection units, if I'm not mistaken, for all the 300s. And the fuel injection came out in the 80s, so, and they went until 96 or 98 with it, before they just eventually phased out the 300 inline 6, which the 306 is one of the best engines made of all time. This will last forever. You cannot really kill these. You can also build them out and make a really good amount of power out of them too. So, you know, just a little food for thought if you ever want. Now, they're kind of a bit of a lump of a motor, but they don't weigh too much more than the small blocks, like small block Fords and stuff like that. So, you know, and you can make, you know, 500-600 horsepower out of them if you want to. Maybe even more, depending on what you want to do with internals and stuff like that. So yeah, overall, very cool. All right, so here we have a Camaro. It looks like it was a relatively base Camaro. May have been a V8 car, but let's see. Oh, the motor's still in here, so. Look how far back it's pushed. And that looks like a... should be. Oh, it is a V6. So this could either be a 3.1, probably 3.1 V6 in this one. Now this is kind of just like, you know, the competitor of the Ford Mustang at the time as an example. And Dodge, unfortunately, through the 80s, didn't really have proper competition for this, which is unfortunate. Because, you know, the pony car wars essentially died once the Challenger and the Javelin died too. But they still kind of existed between the Camaro, the Firebird, and the Mustang, as well as the Mercury Capri. But yeah, so this is a Camaro, right? And this generation of Camaro started in, I believe it was the first year, 1982, and they went with this body style until 92, I believe it was, 92 or 93. So, and what's interesting is like GM, once they get something absolutely perfect, they end up scrapping that whole idea and then moving on to the next generation. They do that every time. Like, look at the Pontiac Fiero. They got it perfect in the final year, then they killed it. This generation, again, same idea. C4 Corvette, same idea. It's very interesting. But then, so we got the better looking cousin of the Chevrolet Camaro. This is a Pontiac Firebird, and they were trying to sell it. Or this is actually Trans Am, so this is even the higher up one. But unfortunately, nobody bought it, so now it's in here. Right, and that happens a lot, actually. This would have either a 305 or a 350. That is a 305 under there. So there you go. I do know, though, it's this is probably, I'm going to assume it was an automatic. Let's see. Yep, it was an automatic. So that would be 700 R4 or even a 200 R4, actually. This is an 85, so it's a little later. But the Firebirds, you know, they had a different tail panel on them with, like, different tail lights, which looked really cool. And then they also had the pop-up headlights. And again, this generation was made for just as long as those were. And even though this is a Trans Am, so it's got a little bit of a body kit on it, and plus different suspension and stuff like that. There's a few other oddities with the Trans Am compared to a regular Firebird. But they all had the pop-up headlights, even if you got a V6 base model one. So it's kind of cool to see. You know, they had these cool wheels on them and everything. Such a shame. All right, it's kind of slim pickings out here. However, Mustang 2, anybody? Now, the Mustang 2 started in 1974 and was built in 1978. A lot of people will say that this was a failure from Ford, but in reality, they built more of these than the S197 and the S550 Mustang combined. This is what was really needed in the 70s for Ford. Because they needed to, with the gas crunch and everything like that throughout the 70s, they needed an economical offering. So in 1974, Ford came up with this, which is based on the Ford Pinto. And case in point, that is, I believe, a 2.8 V6, which was in the Pinto. Yep, there it is. 2.8 V6. So these motors actually, they could be had in the European Capris, the Pintos, the Mustangs, and even early Fox body Mustangs and Capris in 1979. It was only for a few months of production, then they swapped it out for the 209.6. These are a very light and small car. Fun fact, this is the lightest and the smallest that the Mustang ever got to. But everybody looks at these as just like this terrible car and whatever else. But did you know this is a much better car than what the first gen Mustang was? Now, people might say rah rah in the comments, but no, hear me out. These have rack and pinion steering as an example, where your Mustang has, well, not that. They've got, you know, a steering box, right? Old school. Doesn't give you as much feel as what, you know, a nice rack and pinion steering does. So these actually handle a lot better. They're also a lot lighter, so if you want to build them, you can. And granted, people like make fun of the looks, but I actually think they're a pretty good looking vehicle. I love these coupes as well, because a lot of them were fastbacks. But this one being a little coupe is kind of cool, and it was a Ghia, so it did have the Landau top on it, which is pretty neat. I have a soft spot for these coupes because a family friend built a 77 one years ago it roamed around Lethbridge for the longest time. His name was Rob, And he had a purple on black two-tone one that at one point had like a 514 big block with like 3 stages of nitrous in it and stuff like that. Last time I saw it was for sale. It had a 408 stroker with a single shot of nitrous. So, yeah, I have a soft spot for these. But it's cool. And who knows, maybe I'd own a Mustang too someday. Alright, I was just about to end the video, but then I see this. It's a Buick Invicta, I think. I mean, it's got a straight 6 on it. This would be like an early 60s, like 61, 62-ish. Let's see, it's a 61. Oh, it's a Plymouth Fury. Duh. I forgot. Yeah, okay. Seeing that dash, that makes sense. These are pretty neat, actually. So, and actually, my dumbass, that's a slant 6. Just noticing that now. Like, can you tell I'm tired? I'm definitely tired. But yeah, so this is the venerable slant 6, which being as early as this one is, that might be a 144 or even a 170 cubic inch motor. It's not the 225 that we know and love, because it's only a 61. The 225 didn't come out till I think it was 64, I want to say. Could be wrong, but this thing is freaking sweet. You know, like I said, I was just about to call the video quits, and then I ran across this, which is damn cool. The Earl Exner years, or at least the finality of the Earl Exner years, which, and whenever you hear people say that, you might think, well, what is the Earl Exner years of Chrysler / Dodge / Plymouth? Well, that's easy. So Earl Exner was the CEO of the Chrysler Corporation from, my brain will work, right, from about 1954 until 1965, I want to say. And you got crazy styling like this, and now like some of the other vehicles like had big fins in the back and whatever else, you know, more in the 50s and stuff. But yeah, this is like the end of an era for the Earl Exner years of this really radical styling that they had. Overall, very cool. There's not just one, but there's 2 of them in here, both the same color. This one, albeit has a V8, which is probably like a 273 or like a 318 poly sphere or something like that. I'm assuming it's a similar year. Let's see, what does it say on it? It says this was a 61 as well. So literally same thing as the other one, but this one has a V8 in it. You know, the gauges are gone out of this one. Bench seat automatic. You know, but it's pretty sweet. Little one, that's only a 1-barrel carb on there. That's wild to me. They put 1 barrels on V8s, but welcome to weird stuff in the 60s. But yeah, this thing is damn cool. Damn cool. And yeah, but honestly, that'll wrap up the video here. I'm surprised that these 2 are back here and not with the rest of the classics of the vintage, you know, where I kind of just like glossed over really quick because I filmed those like a month ago, so I didn't really want to do that again, right? So yeah, anyways, I hope you guys did enjoy this video. If you did, now please like, comment, subscribe to the video, share it with your friends. You know the whole spiel, right? So anyways, take care, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace out!